Well, I've seen really Ukraine's NATO facility.
And we are live. Hello, everybody. Hello, LarryCJohnson, my good friend. How are you doing?
Hi there.
Good. Great. Larry,
I am here.
hopefully for the next several years, we'll still have this conversation every now and then. Larry, things are interesting going on in the United States.
Hi.
Yeah,
You think?
a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope things get more boring, but every week something interesting happening. And I was watching just today, earlier today, I was watching you talking to the Judge Napolitano, and he was saying, "Oh, he's been there for like," I'm talking about Trump, of course, for a month, and you said it's 2 weeks. And yeah, it
2 weeks.
It looks like a lot of times.
Seems like a month and a half, but it's literally, well, we're now 2 weeks, 1 day.
Yeah, exactly.
He was sworn in 2 weeks ago yesterday.
Exactly. So one thing that was very interesting that happened this week was the tariffs over Canada and Mexico. He even put on his social media a video of him screaming tariffs. He wants to make it memetized, and I'll help him. So guacamole and maple syrup out of the American table now? How's it happening?
No. Actually, what this is, what Trump is saying and doing is not what he's really, what his true agenda is. Okay, so everybody was looking at the tariff issue, going, "What the hell is he doing? What is this? What are they doing to us economically?" But he revealed it yesterday during the Oval Office impromptu press conference that this is about stopping the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants to the United States, but particularly crushing the fentanyl. So this is really an anti-narcotics campaign by Trump. He's fighting a war on drugs without declaring a war on drugs. He's sort of he's going in through the back door. So you get everybody focused on tariffs, when what he's really talking to these presidents, the president of Mexico, Sheinbaum, and then Prime Minister Trudeau, about, hey, we need to curtail the flow of fentanyl in our country. It's killing too many Americans, and we're not going to put up with that. And that's what he's going to talk to the Chinese about too. So I didn't really, this didn't come into full clarity for me until yesterday when I saw him say that. And then also I know how he selected and why he selected Derek Maltz to be the head of the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA. Derek is the first actual DEA agent who's actually served as a DEA agent to take that position. And so he understands exactly what needs to be done to really tackle the issue of going after drugs. And that is, you go after the money. You don't launch Delta Force against cartel operations in Mexico. That doesn't solve the problem. You go after the money. The money's here in the United States. Don't have to go to Mexico. You go do it here at home.
That makes a hell lot of sense. And I know you're going to say, of course, it makes a lot of sense. I'm saying that, and that's true. That is, what I just understood from what you're saying now is that, okay, this is not good. This is not nice that we, the United States, go and, invade countries, not even saying, war invading, but, invading like Colombia with Pablo Escobar, putting DEA agents, FBI agents working there. And yeah, perhaps they're going to work together. But enforce those countries to solve the problem inside. That's even cheaper because then it's their problem.
Well, again, the demand for drugs is created here in the United States. People are willing to pay money for this stuff to poison themselves. But we got to fix the demand first. You fix the demand, the supply dries up. That's the bottom line. We've got a dysfunctional society, and instead of punishing those companies that are complicit in accepting drug money, a prominent maker of farm equipment in the United States. This happened, about 20 years ago now. Oh man, maybe 18 years ago. But I was called along with my partner to go visit this place in Iowa that they were receiving third-party checks. A third-party check is a check drawn on a U.S. bank account, but it's signed over by somebody that lives in Colombia. And in this case, they were purchasing a tractor, and then they had, a total of 4 checks signed by different people that were being used to purchase this tractor. Well, this was money from drug trafficking. And I can go into explain the details of it if you're interested.
Yeah, you have we have this conversation last week. You explain how, for example, sending people to Disneyland to open 1 million accounts, and as you point out, we Latin Americans, we have 1 million names. I have my name plus 3 surnames, so I could open like
3 or 4 accounts.
Yeah,
but the point of this is that because the U.S. company was willing to accept that money, they were facilitating the narcotics trade. So, that's where it's always easy for us to demonize, make the Mexicans the bad guys, make the Colombians the bad guys. Look in the mirror. We're the bad guys. We're the ones facilitating, enabling all of this. They're taking advantage of it. They're responding to what we're creating. And so it's stop the demand, stop allowing these different companies to enrich themselves. So that's where I think Trump is actually headed. That's one of the, let's call it misdirection, but he's not advertising it and he's not making it a line in the sand. But let's look at what he's doing, not what he's saying.
Exactly. I have a comment here just now. By the way, there was a comment here saying that it was unable to find LarryCJohnson YouTube channel. Where have you been, dude? Yeah, now the links on the description is countercurrents, is counter_currents_channel. That's where you're gonna find, which, by the way, you had an excellent, amazing interview yesterday with Jim Jetras.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I wrote down the name so I could. Amazing interview, and I have mentioned to you that I have this project about Serbia and Yugoslavia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask permission to cut a little bit of those talks because it was amazing. It was amazing.
Anything worth doing well is worth copying from someone else. Yeah.
That is absolutely correct, Larry. But the other comment that I had here was, well, I don't buy into, that's the comment. I don't buy into that fentanyl excuse. And just yesterday, I published about South Africa comments that
what they don't buy into the fentanyl excuse?
yeah, the excuse for tariffs. And
Well, that's, they're entitled to their opinion, but the fact of the matter is, you got more than 70,000 dead Americans every year from that stuff.
yeah,
You know the story of my nephew, right?
I think you have mentioned once. I don't quite remember, but if you want to share it?
My nephew died from where I'm sitting, 50 feet away from where I'm sitting. My nephew died on the toilet from a fentanyl overdose. He was 38 years old.
Shit.
He was self-medicating because he'd had some nerve damage to his left leg from a gunshot wound, self-inflicted because he stupidly and unsafely handled a firearm. One of the first rules of a gun is you never point it at anything you're not willing to kill and destroy. Well, he was screwing around. He pointed it at his leg, and it had a bullet, live cartridge in it, and fired, and the bullet went through his leg. So it did enormous damage, and he was suffering from a lot of pain. Mm-hmm. So to deal with that pain, he went out to get a narcotic off the streets because he'd been, when they treated him at the hospital, they got him hooked on Oxycontin. Now, he in his quest to try to quell the pain, he ended up getting a hit of fentanyl that killed his ass. So, they don't believe this is about fentanyl. Well,
no.
Whoever wrote that is, I have some unkind words for him. That's exactly what's going on. This whole tariff business, and notice it didn't last 24 hours. I've seen the T-shirt. Someone had a T-shirt made up. I survived the 24-hour tariff war. So it's not. This is all about securing cooperation from Mexico, Canada, and now China on cutting off the supply of fentanyl. That's what this is about.
I will give 1% credit for this comment because, as you said, you have something that he says and something that he does, and well, if that's the excuse necessary, let's call it just for the sake of the argument. If that's the necessary excuse to fight the drug issue, and it's an issue, we have discussed this several times. There is a movie. It's not a very famous movie. It's called Blood In, Blood Out in English. I don't remember the name in Portuguese, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it.
This is a very unknown, it's a huge movie with some later famous actors. They were not famous at the time, but they were basically Latin Mexicans, but Latin people, on teenager gangs. And one of them, at some point, doing some stupid teenager stuff, got shot. And he went to be medically treated, and by being medically treated, since it was on the spine or something like that, they were giving them morphine. They were giving him morphine, and he ended up hooked on heroin and all this stuff. It's a very interesting movie. It shows the life of 3 teenagers of the same family going in completely opposite directions. And one of the points is the drug addiction based on medical treatment. It's true story.
Yeah, I just saw I looked up the cast. Benjamin Bratt and Delroy Lindo are the 2 big names that people would most commonly associate. And then there's also this guy Raymond Cruz. Cruz, he played, he was in that movie with Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke, where he played one of the Mexican he was saying, I'm going to push your shit in. I'm going to push your shit. Have you ever had your shit pushed in? He was sort of a crazed drug guy in that movie too. Okay. I haven't seen it. I've never actually heard of this. So thanks for the update.
It's it's very old. It's 90 something, if I'm not mistaken.
1993. Yeah, 32
1993.
Years old. Yeah.
It's 3 hours long or something like that. It's an amazing movie. It's very emotional, and the history it's very well developed. Very well developed. Watch it.
Of course, it says it's a cult classic among Mexican American communities. So have you been lying to me? You're claiming to be Brazilian and you're actually Mexican American?
I will send you I will send you the picture that I have taken in Geneva for my ID for the Swiss ID, and I had not the big beard. I had only the, I don't know how's it called. The goat beard.
Yeah, the goatee.
The goatee. And it was big. I look exactly like Danny Trejo.
Well, that's funny.
I will send you. I'll find the picture and I'll send you. You're gonna say, if not Danny Trejo, a Mexican cartel drug dealer for sure.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. So Scheinbaum was the first one. I saw her speech. She was very, God damn it! I didn't want that. That's a big problem. But it looks like diplomacy reigned. That's kind of interesting. I don't know what was the end deal.
Well, apparently she made some demands on Trump, and he acceded to those demands, such as cutting off the supply of weapons that's flowing from the United States into Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody, you got to read the respective. Everyone claims that they had a victory, and this is classic Trump negotiating a deal like that.
Starting with a high stake, and then that's called diplomacy.
Take a big bombastic position, and then you're able to back off in some of it. But everybody was initially concerned that this was going to spill over to cause inflationary pressure. As I said on the Judge yesterday, the initial impact of tariffs would actually be economically positive for the United States, put money in the Treasury, reduce the debt. But then it gets a function of how long does it go, and then what industries does it affect, and there's no one way to predict what will happen. I use the example of a 25% tariff on let's say a bottle of Tres Amigos tequila. Well, let's just say that the bottle costs $40. Okay, well, that means now that bottle is going to cost $50 because it's hecho en Mexico, made in Mexico. But so are you as a consumer walking into the liquor store over here? The big retailer is called Total Wine. Are you going to pay $50 for it? Can you tell the difference between that and Jose Cuervo? Because Jose Cuervo is made in the United States, even though authentic tequila is supposed to be only made in Mexico. But Jose Cuervo is made in the U.S. So are you going to drink?
If it's made in Texas.
Well, it's U.S. So are you going to be content to drink Cuervo? Or are you going to pay the extra $10? So it varies from product to product. Is the product something that you absolutely need and don't have any choice? In economics, that's called inelastic. Or is it price elastic? That means, man, if the price goes up, you're going to just buy less of it. So, the point in all this is that figuring out the impact of tariffs, yes, they do operate as a tax. And normally the price is going to get passed along to consumers. But the lot more complicated dynamic aspects to it. But what we saw in this whole instance is the tariffs were a prop. They were just a prop in a drama that had more to do with Trump unveiling his new counter-narcotic strategy without calling it that.
Yeah, since you mentioned the Treasury, I would like to jump into the second subject that I was thinking about for today. That's Elon Musk's access to the Treasury data.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I mean, I don't know how much you trust a multi-billionaire that needs government contracts to look at government spending.
Well, so far it looks like he's done a really good job of it, rooting out some of the corruption. There are the fact that the Democrats are screaming so loudly about this tells me that it's a good thing. If they weren't criticizing it and complaining about it, you'd have to wonder, okay, is he compromised? Now, there ought to be some strict ethical guidelines for him that he shouldn't be able to access or oversee any data on any contract that involves him and his companies. That's one thing. But it's also
our companies that are concurrent to him. What's it called? That they. Oh, I lost the word. I think you understood. Concurrent is the right word, no?
Well, where he's got a conflict of interest. Wherever he has a conflict of interest, he needs to recuse himself. But what was going on at the Treasury is they're trying to withhold data that was critical to examine, and I think his expression with respect to the USAID was he says, we're not talking an apple with a worm in it. We're talking about a bowl of worms. It's just a bowl of corruption. Now, the interesting fact in this is that the biggest growth in the U.S. AID budget took place under Donald Trump in 2019. It went from roughly $17 billion to almost $42 billion. That's a $25 billion increase. Who made that decision? Was Trump even aware of it at the time, or was that snuck in behind his back? But whatever it was, it happened under Trump, and he really needs to explain why that happened, and then maybe that would help explain why he's doing what he's doing now.
Exactly. And since you mentioned the USAID topic, that would be the last thing I would like to ask today about these USAID cuts and Ukraine, of course.
Yeah, well, they figured out when Hillary Clinton, it became particularly prominent when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, that the money was funded between USAID and entities connected to the Clinton Foundation. It became a way to, steal money, as well as the CIA began using funds that came out of USAID as a way to finance operations in places like Ukraine, the Maidan, 2014, color revolutions throughout North Africa and Middle East, color revolutions in Georgia, Romania, Slovakia, Austria. This is where this money was being used to go into the hands of non-governmental organizations that in turn were spending it. They go into Italy, for example, advertise and hire a bunch of college kids who would agree to go to Georgia, the nation of Georgia, and carry out protests. So it was a way to subvert other governments. Trump, I don't know who in Trump's orbit made him aware of this, I don't know if it was just him, but they were not only aware of it, they came loaded for bear to kill it, which they did quickly within the first 2 weeks of his administration.
Do you think this is related to, especially, let's say, to the Ukrainian crisis there? Because this makes a hell lot of sense. It's cutting the big money for Zelensky, and the guy's already freaking out.
Yeah, well, we've discovered that this money was financing media outlets. Well, those media outlets were publishing propaganda. Propaganda is being provided by the CIA. So in effect, this was another way for it to carry out a CIA operation without it having to be falling under classification or needing to be briefed to the House and Senate intelligence communities or committees. So pretty interesting what's been exposed. And Trump reportedly is going to also go to shut down a lot of the Department of Education. So the thing is, he's made a lot of promises in the campaign, and it turns out he's trying to fulfill all of the ones he made.
Yes, exactly what I see. And I mean, this is important for people to understand. It's not that I'm pro-Trump or whatever. It doesn't matter. The good thing for my country has nothing to do with Trump. Well, has more to do with Trump not putting his finger on my country. But yeah, of course, as we've talked several times here, I do not wish the United States to collapse. I just wish people, because I don't wish this for my country, so I would not wish this for any country. But yeah, I definitely want a country that can go around with other countries. I have a question in the chat, in the chat, Larry. I do not quite understand what it is, but it's okay if I read this here?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the question is the 9 stars on Gov's sites just a fuzz or real? I have no idea what this means.
The 9 what?
9 stars on government's sites, just a fuzz or real?
Yeah, I have no idea. They need to clarify. Are they talking about stars on the CIA's wall? The CIA puts stars without names on this wall for CIA personnel that have died overseas. Is that what he's talking about? I don't know what he's talking about.
Be very honest, I have no idea. So I said that was the last question. This is just came out in my mind now, and it's going to be a very quick question. So far in this huge 2 weeks, are you enjoying or not Donald Trump's government?
Oh, yeah.
This is not social media, sir. I need you to tell me a yes or no.
Well, did you ever? You ought to pull up on YouTube that time where Donald Trump went to, I think it was WrestleMania, or he was basically fighting Vince McMahon inside the ring, and throwing chairs and jumping on people, and it's all the fake wrestling stuff. That's sort of what this last 2 weeks reminds me of, man. It's been like one of those World Wrestling Federation events with people jumping off of ropes and getting crushed in this curved circle. But he's launched this like also a carefully planned military operation. He knew he came in knowing what he wanted to do, and he's doing it, by God. And the opposition, the Democrats, are in just complete disarray. They don't know what to do.
Yeah. Since the first days of his work, we had discussed this already for 2 weeks now, that he's been working hard, working fast. Everything that you just said today, it sounds to me that he's putting order in the house.
Well, yeah,
That's
but
that's a start, I would say.
and he's done something. I saw him do something yesterday that I think was incredibly smart, and I believe it was intentional, and that it was not unintentional. So he welcomed to the White House the Florida Panther hockey team, the winners of the 2024 Stanley Cup. And in as part of his remarks, he immediately singled out the goalie for the Panthers, a guy named Sergei Bobrovsky. And he says, "Hey, where's that? Sergei, you're Russian, right? You did it." And man, praised him to the high heavens and went over and shook his hand. Now, you think that was just extemporaneous? I don't. I think that was staged specifically as a way of sending Russia, Vladimir Putin, the Russian people, a message. I'm extending a hand of friendship and I'm complimenting a great Russian. Instead of attacking him, I'm praising him. So, that's where I think Trump has shown a level of sophistication in that we haven't previously seen.
Well, we haven't seen that in the United States for a while now. That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially on the sports, there's been a witch hunt over, Belarusians or Russians, sports people, kind of everywhere. Yeah. So just it says that in the official government sites, the flag has 9 stars instead of 50. I have no idea.
I haven't paid attention to that. That's, I'm not sure where the 9 stars would come from.
And I would imagine you would miss 41 stars.
Yes. Yeah, I would say so.
It's not that little.
Yeah. Yep.
LarryJohnson, I think I'm great for today. This is more or less what I wanted to talk about. I don't think I want to talk about South Africa today, which is perhaps another topic. Let's see how this is developing. This is an interesting topic as well. Thank you very much, Larry. Thank you once again for coming. Remember, everybody, that all the links for LarryJohnson's are on the description. Someone asked about the LarryJohnson channel. It's Countercurrents. It's updated now. This is streamed to Rumble, BitChute, in case for my Rumble, Larry the Rumble, Larry BitChute, mine BitChute, Shitter, Telegram channel, Odyssey.
You're everywhere. You're ubiquitous.
Even TikTok and Instagram, everywhere. I'm just flooding the internet with crap. And LarryJohnson.
Well, not crap. Good material. All right, my friend. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, Larry. Bye-bye. Thank you. Ciao.